Hi, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday Wondering. Last time we talked about all students being able to reach their full potential and to be successful regardless of obstacles. So, before I go on to the second concept, the second fundamental, what I'd like to do is share some real world comments that students and parents have shared with me over the last while. And these are in the About section of the Co-ed Tutoring Services website. Okay, you can read some more examples there. There are a lot more resources. So, for example, student says, since COVID, I've lost all motivation for learning. My teachers use D2L, but don't have time to explain it. And I'm tired of not being able to find assignments. Now I'm a month and a half into grade 10 and feel totally unprepared. All right, here's another one. Student says, I used to like math, but now I can't stand it. I keep getting behind in class. There's never time to get help. I don't want to ask questions because I hate sounding dumb. Does that sound familiar? All right. Here's something. I have no idea what career to pursue. I have lots of interests, but don't know how to narrow them down to choose a pathway. How on earth do I decide? I'm in grade 12. Okay. And here's an interesting one about cell phone use, smartphone use. Since COVID, I've been on my phone even more than before. I know I need to unplug it more, but have no idea how to start. I hate missing out on social media and can't concentrate on anything else. All right, now let's flip over to what some of the obstacles that parents have that they've shared with me. My child used to enjoy school, but lately they're not interested. They've even failed a class. And how can I motivate them? They know they need to get their diploma. My child loves sports but hates being in the classroom. Now more than ever, grades count, and they already struggled with math and reading before COVID. Okay. I have no idea. And this is interesting. This is what some parents have said to me. I have no idea how this online learning works. I'm so busy, I don't have time to figure out these new apps and platforms. And when I ask my child if they have homework, they say they don't understand Google Classroom or D2L. I'm frustrated that I can't sit down and help them. All right, so that's the smallest sampling of some of the struggles that students and parents have. Okay, so those are some obstacles. Now I want to go to the fundamental number 2, and that goes like this. It's related. Often students do not reach their full potential because of learned failure. So the fact is, negative thought patterns tend to derail us, and this is, again, part of our human nature. It seems, regardless of whether you're a student or not. In many cases, though, slowing down and dismantling these thought patterns can prepare the student to experience a new direction and helping them to learn new skills. It's all about changing direction and really leaving false narratives behind. I firmly believe that as we go through life, we pick up things that are true and things that are not true. So, one of my goals as a tutor is to really help identify what those obstacles are. And now, with this fundamental, drilling down a little further, what some of those patterns of learned failure are. Okay. And the students all learn differently, and some need to be given new outside the box opportunities to be successful. Let me give you an example. Okay. Classic situation with math. All right. Math is one of those subjects that seems to have the highest rate of learned failure. And what I mean by that is not that students can't do math. That's a big, generally, that I believe that that's a myth. Now, sometimes students have profound, learning and cognitive difficulties. All right, obviously. What I'm talking about now is students who have learned, who are able to learn concepts, but have learned how to fail. All right. And, it's like banging your head against the wall. It's like doing the same thing and expecting different results. That's the problem. So then, if doing the same thing leads to the same results, how can we do something different so that we can get better results? How can we unlearn in order to relearn? All right. So let me give an example of a strategy that I introduced to a client, a tutoring student that I had a few years ago. She was really, really struggling with math, and she continued to make the same mistakes. And the teacher, unfortunately, was unable to give her the time that she really needed. So what we did was we slowed everything down. And it's like, okay, you believe that you can't do math. Well, let's unpack that. What is it that you can't do? Well, I always get the questions wrong on the test. Okay, so for example, what we end up doing in a situation like that is we go back. Okay, we go back to what was known, and we go back to addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. One of the biggest problems that I notice with tutoring clients and students of all ages who struggle with math is that they don't write each step down on paper. And they try to do multiplication and division and subtraction and addition in their heads. And when you do that, particularly with multiplication or division, when you're, for example, figuring out, a quadratic equation, and you're multiplying letters and numbers, and you're adding and subtracting, and you're multiplying negative numbers, doesn't that sound fun? If you don't unpack that and write that on paper, and really, really write each step down, you're going to make mistakes. And the answer, you're going to end up with the answer negative 6x plus 3y. And, you're going to get 0 out of 5 because that was the answer right after the multiplication. So I wanted to talk about this example in a bit of detail right now because it's almost universal that people struggle with math at one point or another. Maybe this is bringing back, frightful memories for you as a parent when you go back to your experiences in math. And some of you have had really, really excellent math help. Okay, whether it was a math teacher, at lunch or whatever, or they were able to just slow things down. So the bottom line is, when we have learned failure, we just repeat the same mistakes. And what sometimes we have to do is get off the merry-go-round and try something different. So what happened with my student, with my tutoring student, is that she was able to start unpacking each step and writing each step. It used more lead, it used more paper, but then she could see that she only has to do one thing. She doesn't have to cram it all into her head. So what I'm talking about now is just stopping the learned failure and turning it around, doing something different, okay? Just leaving that behind, uncluttering your brain with the stress, and realizing, wow, I can do math, all right? I can figure out multiplication. I can figure this out. I can figure that out. It used to be a long time ago where rote learning was much more popular, and students were taught the multiplication tables and so on. And now that's kind of been displaced. It depends really where students learn, how much memorization of, for example, the multiplication table happens. That is critical when I help any student with math. We grind through the multiplication tables. We do minute math, okay, constantly. And it's memorization so that a student can understand, can know right away what 8 times 3 is, okay, or what 5 times 7 is. So all that to say, that's an unpacking of how to address learned failure. We got to leave those false narratives behind. And unfortunately, some of that develops in grade 2, 3, 4, 5. And then by grade 6, you feel like you can't do math. And then you go to grade 9 and you don't have the grade 7 or 8 skills, and you're not alone, okay, as a student. It's totally understandable. So that is how this works. And that's really why I spend a lot of time with students dismantling this so that they can get around learned failure. Okay, it doesn't help. Again, the same metaphor as before. It doesn't help to put the windows in when you don't have the foundation in, or the main floor, or the walls. Okay, so we go back to what we know and then we build. All right. Thanks for listening. Drop a comment below. Maybe you want to share some of your thrilling math experiences in high school. Maybe it went well. Maybe you had a great teacher. What made that teacher really, really help you? Bye for now.